So Trent had my next question, which is, what factors do you consider most when you are looking to invest in something? So why don't you take us through your process of, even finding out about the different types of deals that are available, what you look for, things like that.
Perfect. I'd love to. So at a high level, I look at 5 different areas, and depending on which of the books you read, this is not going to be reinventing the wheel. This will sound very similar, but I kind of just, for easy like remembering it, kind of refer to as the 5 T's. But the most important one for me again is the team. So that's the founders and like those early employees. Now, the reason that I believe, and a lot of people who are investors in early stage companies believe that's so critical, other than the fact that they're going to be setting the culture, they're setting basically kind of the mindset of the entire business. They're really going to decide, is this something that they do want to bring to eventually one day come, to an IPO, or are they happy with a very comfortable business where they can still kind of chug along and be happy and pay out good dividends to investors. Both of those are perfectly great outcomes, but it just depends which one that founder kind of wants to do for that business. So it's important to have an understanding of what that founder wants, though, because those are different outcomes for investors, right? Or they can be potentially. And in addition, one of the one of the important reasons that team is so important is that, again, when you're investing in a lot of these companies who are in that 2 million, 3 million, 5 million, 10 million valuation range, it's going to be the founder, maybe a couple employees, maybe a couple part-time contractors, maybe a co-founder or two. They're really, really small teams. And because of that, a lot can go wrong in the early days. It could be regulatory issues that no one could foresee. Someone could get sick. There's just so many things that you can't even think of. So why the team is so important is that you want to know that that entrepreneur that you're investing in, when the times get tough, and not if, because we all know that eventually it is going to get tough, you want to make sure that person's going to stick through it and really carry through the idea. And maybe they have to pivot, right? Maybe the initial product they had or the service isn't going to work, but if you know that it's the right person, that's one of the most important things. So that's why I highlight team. I'll glaze over the other 4 so we don't like dive really deep into them in terms of the other T's, but team, tech. So I call tech, which is technology, right? And I refer to that really as the product. So it doesn't have to be a tech, software as a startup SaaS business, but whatever that technology or that product or that service or that key offering is. If it's a local business owner, right? What is their secret sauce is really what I'm getting at, right? Like, why are they so passionate? Why are people going to want to go to their business? Why are they going to succeed? So team, tech. TAM, which stands for total addressable market, but you can just think of that as what's the overall market opportunity, because again, it's just 2 different types of outcomes, and it doesn't necessarily mean one of these is right or one of these is wrong, but it could have different implications for investors. So for example, is this a business that maybe they want to open up 1 or 2 local shops in town, but then kind of just stop there because they're happy, they're satisfying their customers, they have a good business for them. That's perfectly fine. In addition, in comparison to that, could be the company that wants to build the $1 billion unicorn and have an IPO in the future, right? So that's 2 different kind of potential outcomes for investors in the future. So it's just good to know kind of what is the market that this founder, that this team is kind of targeting. And then in addition, so the 4th T is traction. And I really kind of define traction. It could be as, customers, do they have customers who are paying? Do they have interest if they're pre-revenue or pre-product? Do they at least have some proof that they're not just building something and hoping that people are going to show up and give them money, but what have they actually done to like validate that this is, a real business opportunity? And then the 5th one, which is very important, but I think a lot of people overlook it, is the terms of the deal. And the terms are very crucial, especially when you're investing in some of these online crowdfunding platforms, because there's so many different security types you got to get used to. There's a simple agreement for future equity, convertible notes, common stock, preferred stock, rev share, revenue share. There's all these different types of securities, right? And even then, if you have a safe on one platform and a safe on another platform, they aren't necessarily the same. You have to really understand what the terms are that you're investing in, because all the platforms kind of are different and have their own different takes in terms of how they set those up. So it's really important to know that. The biggest thing with, most of the terms will typically be the valuation, right? So whether if it's a stock, what is the valuation of the stock? If it's a priced round, or if it's a safe or convertible note, what's that valuation cap? Which means it will eventually convert to equity. But that's good because that'll kind of give you a feel for, is this a reasonable expectation? Is this a reasonable valuation for a company that's in where they are compared to other companies who are maybe, in a similar situation in terms of sales or different metrics you can compare them to. So those are the things I usually look for. But